Ramsay High School is a four-year magnet school in Birmingham, Alabama, and one of 7 high schools in the Birmingham City School System. The school was opened on September 19, 1930, and in 1975, Ramsay High School became a magnet school that served gifted students from throughout the city. It is now an international baccalaureate school and the only Birmingham City school to focus exclusively on college preparation.
What side of town are you from?
I am from Tarrant. I'm from on the east side of town. So Ramsay was nowhere on the scope for me to go to school, not at all.
I'm from Inslee.
So I am from Green Springs, or the south side, right behind George Ward Park.
I'm from Pratt City.
Pratt City.
West side of town.
West side.
Yeah.
I'm from West End.
I'm originally from Hueytown, Alabama, so there were a lot of students who came from different places all over to come to Ramsay High School.
I grew up in Wylam in the Inslee area. I went to Wylam Elementary K through 8, and so I think I had one perspective, and then going to Ramsay, I was just exposed to a lot of things outside of what I grew up with in Wylam.
And so my parents, the reason why Ramsay came just into view for us is because we had 2 church members who their children went to Ramsay. And so they spoke so highly of it, and they said the education was great over there, and then their children had gone on to do great things in college. So my mom was, she was on the first train, let's get them to Ramsay.
I think for me, I had already dealt with difference because my father was in the military, and so when we moved to Birmingham, I started at Gate City Elementary School in the 2nd grade. So when I got there, students were wondering, well, who is this proper talking girl? So I could get that feeling about difference as early as elementary school. And I stayed at Gate City from 2nd through 4th grade. I think it was very important for me to have that neighborhood school experience, but then transferred to WJ Christian. At that point in time, they were integrating gifted programs, so that's where I went. So really from 5th grade on, I had already gotten used to this image that young people in the neighborhood had about the magnet schools in Birmingham at that time.
Well, actually, my mom, she works at UAB, she works downtown, and I always have attended schools downtown. My middle school, elementary school, I went to Phillips Academy, which is right downtown. I'm not sure if y'all know where that is. But when you attend schools like Phillips and WJ Christian, it's almost like those are like the middle school Ramsays. So I already knew when I went to Phillips that I was going to Ramsay.
Well, ever since I was young, since like elementary school, my dad has always, told me he went to Ramsay. He never told me like I have to go there. He was forcing me. It's like as soon as he told me, I just kind of decided that's where I'm going.
It wasn't about where I was located. My school, I went to a middle school that prepped me to come to this school.
So my mom graduated from Ramsay class in 1987, and so she talked about her experience in high school, so I just always wanted to go to Ramsay, and then I always heard good positive things about Ramsay, and so I applied to get in, and there I went.
I think it was more of a just knowing he went there, to be honest. He did tell me that it was more of a, like intellect was supposed to be high. And I've always been considered pretty smart, so I was like, might as well. I went to Phillips 5th grade year. I moved to Mobile. I lived there for 6th grade, then we moved back. And my dad, he waited too late to register me, so he just put me in a school closest to him.
Well, starting off, I went to Princeton for elementary school. Then I went to WJ Christian, so of course that's like, the theater and everything. But my folks actually wanted me to go to Alabama School of Fine Arts, and I was like, absolutely not, because they don't have any sports teams. I did not want to go to Alabama School of Fine Arts. But my folks were gonna make me go, because my folks don't negotiate with kids, you know what I'm saying? So for the longest, I thought like I was going to Alabama School of Fine Arts, but like a month and a half before 9th grade started, my mom was okay, you can go to Ramsay. So I went and took the test, and I was like, I was just grateful.
I grew up where we had a car sometimes, and sometimes we didn't. Ramsay was within walking distance from my house, and I wanted to go to Huffman or the West End where all of my friends were, and my mama said, no ma'am, we gotta, where you can go to school if we didn't have a car, you can walk home or walk to school.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever an expectation that I would go to Ramsay. I was zoned for Angela High School, and so my parents never pushed me to go to Ramsay. I think it may have been just one of the counselors at Wylam kind of mentioned it to me, and so I looked at it and I was like, well, I think it would be cool to go to Ramsay. There weren't a lot of people from my school that left Wylam and went to Ramsay, so it was a totally different experience for me.
All of a sudden, you weren't the only high school sports captain. You weren't the only student council president. You were suddenly in a group of high achievers. And that meant you were expected to do something more. And that's the unique sense of purpose that this place has always infused. The conviction that this is a training ground not only for individual success, but for leadership that can change the world.
What would you say Ramsay's, along with what you're saying, what would you say Ramsay's reputation was while you were there, and was it accurate?
Okay, so Ramsay's reputation, it was a school on the hill with the smart kids that didn't have a football team. that was the reputation. We did not have a football team, so everybody knew that. And yeah, everybody just assumed that everybody who went there just was, just, bougie, extremely over the top.
Ramsay was for the smart kids. Everybody always said, you got to take a test to get in Ramsay.
I knew that students had to be tested to get into Ramsay, and so the feeling that people had was that it was academically strong.
And the day I took it, I do remember I was really nervous, but I passed the test, and we had to take a math placement test to see if we would be in 9th grade math or 10th grade math, and I passed that and I ended up being in 10th grade math, so I was excited about that. But the test wasn't hard to me, but yeah, it was just something I knew I had to do.
Now, in your own neighborhood, people felt like that's where nerds went. Those smart people go to Ramsay, and sometimes there was this assumption that there was some snobbery associated with it.
That was a very big eye-opener to me, to know who my real friends were, because a lot of them, they're just like, oh, you think you're better than us, you think you're smarter than us, or whatever. I got a lot of that.
They always thought Ramsay was supposed to be the smart school. That's basically what it was designated for a while. Yeah.
I didn't try to listen to the people who gave me negative feedback, because I was just like, I don't know till I actually get there, and you don't know because you're not there. So I listened to the positive feedback and all that stuff.
Ramsay had a reputation for having all the smart kids in the city of Birmingham.
I think if you ask my friends who were at my zone school at Huffman High, they would probably say we were pretty bougie group of people, and that we were the smart kids.
So you go to Ramsay, oh, that's where the smart kids go. Or y'all kind of bougie a little bit.
Ramsay, that's where the smart kids go. That's where, I thought it was pretty much like a lot of Urkels, basically.
Well, I do think that we were very smart, not to say any other school was not, but we were not bougie, we were very laid back. Just the average students, just like any other high school, but we did take our academics very seriously.
Which we took pride in being smart, but I also, having grown up, all around the city, I knew there were smart kids at other schools too, but it was really just this perception that if you went to Ramsay, those are the smart kids. Sometimes folks thought you was bougie, which was interesting. But yeah, that was the perception.
When I heard, knowing that it was a smart school, I knew I'd fit in, but I was expecting it to be a whole bunch of people with suspenders and glasses walking around. But it proved me wrong.
We were a very intense, educational type of school, and it showed.
I don't necessarily think that was accurate from people in terms of what they thought about Ramsay. They just knew it was a magnet school and you had to take a test to get in.
Everyone wanted to go to Ramsay. I think that it was not only because all of the academically bright children were there, but also because all the girls were cute.
Ramsay was supposed to be this ultra smart school. All the smart kids go there. All the pretty girls go there. Now, the pretty girls, I was on that one. I had that one.
For me, like, I guess growing up, I saw Ramsay, like, that's where the smart kids go. And so every time I met somebody from Ramsay, I was assuming they was going to come with it every time they spoke. And not necessarily, like, proper or anything like that, but just, like, they were always going to have, like, all the scholarships or they just always had everything. Honestly, you really can't judge a book by its cover. Like, you just have to, I guess once you meet them, then you can see who they are for. Like, because the Ramsay friends that I have, once I met them, I was like, you could have went to Fairfield too. or you can went to other, not saying like they were acting a certain way, but like you met them and all those walls broke down basically.
For me, because I knew the students who were already at Ramsay, I was just like, I mean, it's really not like, once they change out their uniform, we all the same, like we went to the same school, like we all do the same thing. And for the most part, we're all learning the same information. Like they may be learning it faster, or like we may be learning it in a different way. But at the end of the day, like we're all the same age, so it kind of, I don't really think it matters.
You know, although there were a lot of smart folks at Ramsay, I mean, they were just regular people. You know, they were regular people. They were different from what I was accustomed to, but they were regular people.
You know, still some of my peers to this day still tease us Ramsay graduates about being the smart kids or whatnot. And the only thing, you know, even now, the only thing that I can really say is really just because I believe that Ramsay students are the truth doesn't mean that I don't believe that you are. So, you know, we can occupy the same space at the same time, do the same things, make the same achievements.
There's a misconception about how Ramsay students view themselves. I think Ramsay students view themselves as any other student. But again, I think students who go to Ramsay and make the decision that they want to be at Ramsay, they just take themselves seriously in terms of their academic endeavors.
What were the popular extracurricular activities at Ramsay, and which ones did you take part in?
Man, I took part in everything I could. Sometimes not because I wanted to, it was because my mom had some stuff to do after work, and I had to have some extracurricular activities. Yeah. But you know, I participated in band, I participated in SGA. Let's see, I consider tutoring extracurricular, man, as much as I went to it. My goodness, let's see, basketball, baseball, played both of those.
My senior year, I got to plan the prom fashion show and to get all the models, which were my fellow classmates, and the decorations, music, and all that. That was a really good memory. And then also Harvest Week. At the time, we didn't have a football team, so instead of homecoming week, we had Harvest Week. So just again, being able to dress up as celebrities, throwback days and all that kind of thing, to end out with the harvest dance at the end of the week. Definitely good memories there.
I think in Ramsay we always look forward to class day. You know, class day where, you know, all the different classes put on skits and stuff like that. That was always the highlight.
I was involved with student government, and so at the time, around my senior year, when I was involved as the student government president, we had an all-female leadership team. And so that was, I don't know if they had that before, but that was kind of different. And I enjoyed working with the team.
I was in a high school sorority, which is Club Marquette, CM Rose. Whoop, whoop. But also that was one extracurricular activity. But I was also a Ramsay singer. I think we started Club Sci-Fi something. Choir Sci-Fi, we started that, and so that was a great thing for me. And being in the band, I think I probably was in DECA. I was able to get out of school early.
Funny thing is I joined the choir by accident. My best friend, Michael Howard, in high school, and myself were skipping class. And we were up on the 3rd floor, which was the same floor that the choir room was on. And ironically, Miss Ross walked out of her classroom, saw us, and we were supposed to be in class, so she caught us. And she gave us 2 choices. She said that, hey, you guys, come here. She said, you can allow me to take you down to the office and we can report you for skipping, or you can just come on in here and audition for the choir. And honestly, it was one of the best decisions that I had ever made in high school.
But man, basketball was it. Like, it was in high school. Like, of course I did debate team, which I really enjoyed. Choir was awesome. I couldn't sing, but Miss Ross was just real good people. Like, but basketball was it, man. Basketball, we won the championship my junior year. The girls team won the championship every year I was in high school. So like I said, man, we won the championship in 2006. Just had a great team. And honestly, man, led by like the class of 2006, our MVP, Taurus Dort, she's passed now. But man, that's the best player I've ever been on the court with at the same time, man. I just remember and it was just a beast, bro.
I think the other highlight was whenever a new crop of freshmen came in for a new year, you got another opportunity to try to sell them tickets to the pool on the 4th floor, sell them tickets to the pep rally and that kind of stuff. The free pep rally, but you sell tickets to it. So, shit, I had friends that made a lot of little side hustle money off selling tickets to the pool and the pep rally.
The one thing that I really enjoyed, though, was band was pretty cool, and the reason why I say that is because since we didn't have a football team, a lot of what we did was outside of the city. You know, we go to Alabama A&M's homecoming, which I had never been to, even though my mom is an alum of Alabama A&M. Yeah. So we would go up to Huntsville, and that was my first first sight of Huntsville, or being able to see a college campus.
Our football team is great. Like I said, I went to Phillips, so even though I just got to Ramsay 3-4 years ago, however, it's almost like I always been here, because when I went to Phillips, we still went to the Ramsay football games because that was our high school. So just to see them grow to where they were, to where they are, it's honestly crazy. And last year, I was a cheerleader, and now that's a memory I always take with me. Being on the cheer team last year and being able to just watch them every step of the way achieve that state championship, especially since we were 6A. You know, we don't have our own practice field, we don't have our own field.
Okay, so what's one takeaway from your time at Ramsay that shaped who you are as both a professional and a person?
So a lot, really. I mean, Ramsay really helped me to form who I am today. One thing that I will say is that the lesson that it taught me, though, is that intellect isn't the end-all be-all, and that you can't hang your hat just on your ability to, make a 100 on a test or go in and do well just in front of your peers. Because what Ramsay was and what Ramsay still is that all of the students are brilliant at the time that I was there, and I'm sure it is today. So for you to be, one of 1,000, it wasn't an anomaly. It wasn't strange for you to go in and make 100, because it was a ton of kids doing well on tests. So, but what I learned from that was when I would go and do study sessions with my teachers, and so they would see me. So not only did that transcend from me doing well on the test, but now when the scholarship opportunity came up, now my mind's in their, my name is in their mind, so they can call me and say, hey, I got this scholarship opportunity.
I think one of the things that kind of shaped my experience from Ramsay is just the network that I was a part of. I mean, you had people from all over the city that went to a lot of different middle schools that came to Ramsay, and so I think that diversity of perspective was something that was really helpful in shaping me.
The biggest takeaway, man, is the power of education. We were really encouraged to go for it. I was an athlete, and I know I enjoyed basketball, but I can honestly say, man, I felt that same kind of feeling that I got from my coach in basketball. I felt that same feeling with my debate team practices. It was, man, if you know your stuff, you can hang.
Something that I have reflected on, especially as a professor, is that I was a part of one of the last waves of school integration at Ramsay in the 1980s. At that time, they entering class had to be 50% black, 50% white. Now when I look at schools in Birmingham and look at how resegregated they are, I realize that that really was probably the heyday of integration. And for me and my classmates, I think we thought it was normal to establish interracial friendships and relationships and get to know one another.
All right, Julian, if we'll do like a word association.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say a word, just say the first thing that comes to mind. Birmingham.
Family.
Birmingham City Schools.
Education.
Ramsay.
Home.
What's one word that you would use to describe Ramsay?
Oh. One word.
In one word, excellence.
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 I would say excellence.
I just say academics.
I can't say it in one word. Okay, well, so for me, or a statement, is just going in and assessing it for yourself, being open to change, being open to, and not only open to change, but just have an open mind.
I would say it's a school of opportunists.
I would say this to current Ramsay students, that it would be very good for them to learn about the history of that school and just the groundwork that previous classes laid for them.
While I was at Ramsay High School, it was an expectation, it was understood that you would pursue excellence. And so that is something that I carried with me throughout high school as well as college and now in my professional career.
If you're serious and you really want to be on the route to prepare you for college and your future, then Ramsay would definitely be the place for you.
At the turn of the last century, W.E.B. Du Bois spoke about the talented 10, a class of highly educated, socially conscious leaders in the black community. But it's not just the African American community that needs you. The country needs you. The world needs you.
Can you see what I'm saying?